All right, so today we're going to break down a document that's been making the rounds, and it's filled with some really stark warnings about everyday foods. Now, this isn't about scientific studies. It grabs your attention with some incredibly shocking personal stories. Let's get right into it.
Right off the bat, the source hits you with this story. Two brothers, super young, 20 and 18 years old, and both are already facing a lifetime of dialysis. And the document points to just one reason. They always chose packaged drinks instead of plain water.
And then there's this story of a university student. According to the document, his diet was the exact same thing, every single day, a burger and a cola for every meal. And the source links this routine directly to a devastating stage 3 cancer diagnosis. You can see the message they're building here, a simple habit leading to a terrible outcome.
And the last of these opening stories is about a 23-year-old woman. She lived by herself, and her go-to meal, day in and day out, was instant noodles. Again, the document draws a straight line from that habit to liver cancer. So these three stories are really the emotional hook for everything else the document is about to claim.
Okay, so let's get into the details. The very first food this document puts under the microscope is the one from that last story, instant noodles. Now this is where it gets really interesting and kind of clever. The document plays with the Chinese name for instant noodles, pao mian. They switch out the character for noodles with a character that means life. So it becomes pao ming, which translates to something like life cooking noodles. The implication is pretty dark, that with every bowl, you're basically cooking away your own life. So why such a dramatic name? Well, according to the document, it all comes down to this list. They call it a standard deadly food because of this combination: high in calories, fat, salt, and preservatives, but with almost no fiber. It's basically arguing that this is the perfect recipe for bad health.
Okay, moving on from noodles, the document turns its attention to the drink from that university student's story, cola, and other sodas just like it.
So the claims about soda are, well, they're pretty startling. First, the document alleges that these drinks actually strip your body of important things like vitamin B and calcium. But the second claim is the real shocker, that just one can temporarily paralyzes 1/3 of your entire immune system. And then they just show you this, the number 13. That's it. So what is it? According to them, that's how many sugar cubes are in just one can of cola. It's a really simple but powerful way to make you visualize the sugar you're drinking. Okay, now we get to what is, without a doubt, the most wild claim in the whole document. And I want to be clear, I'm quoting directly from the source here. It says, place a cockroach in a bowl of cola and it will dissolve and disappear within a week. They even add that you could try a similar test at home with a coin. So how do they justify that crazy cockroach claim? Well, here's their scientific-sounding explanation. They say cola has a pH of 2.2, which they claim is 10 times more acidic than vinegar. And then they just leave you with this question. If it's that acidic, what in the world is doing to your insides?
You know, this really isn't just about soda, is it? The document now zooms in on what it sees as the real bad guy in so many of these products, sugar itself.
And they do not mince words here. The document claims that in the West, people call sugar the devil. But artificial sweeteners? Oh, according to them, those are even worse. They call them the great devil.
So to explain how it's so dangerous, the source comes up with its own term for the problem. They call it mucoid protein. The idea is that when sugar and protein mix in your body, they create this thick, sticky goo, kind of like phlegm, that your body just can't get rid of.
And the long-term effects of this alleged goo building up? According to them, it's pretty scary. They link it to 80% of glandular cancers and say it sets you up for major health problems down the road, like osteoporosis and even kidney failure requiring dialysis. All right, let's talk about the final category this document goes after: common fried snacks, like potato chips. The argument here is that they're a huge source of another really nasty ingredient. And to really drive the point home about fried snacks, they suggest this kind of dramatic little experiment you could do at home. They just ask, what do you think happens when you set a potato chip on fire? So what happens? Well, the document paints a pretty vivid picture. It says the chip will actually catch fire, drip black smoke, and the stuff that's left dripping down is just oil. It's a very visceral way to show you what the snack is mostly made of. And the villain in this story? The document points the finger at trans fats. It explains that they're basically vegetable oils that have been processed to be super cheap, stable, and great for frying over and over again. But it claims this process creates something that damages your liver and messes with your body's cells. And of course, it's not just potato chips. They list a bunch of other really popular foods where you'll find these fats. Things like fried chicken, French fries, donuts, and yep, bringing it full circle, instant noodles again.
So after all of that, the noodles, the soda, the sugar, the trans fats, what's the big takeaway? What's the point of all these warnings? Well, it actually boils down to something pretty simple. Because after hitting you with all this scary information, the document turns the tables and asks you a question, point blank. Looking at this list, how many of these bad habits do you have? And that brings us to the final message of the whole document. It's not really trying to scare you into paralysis, it's trying to empower you. The argument is, look, we can't control how long we live, but we absolutely can control the width and quality of our life. It's a really powerful thought to end on, right? The idea that the real power is in your hands, in the small choices you make every single day.